Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Facebook Nation. This your girl, Jamaican Joan. And I'm coming to you with Influential Thursday tonight. So while I wait for a few folks to come on in, I'm going to check my system. And if you can actually hear me, I want you to give me some loves, give me some thumbs up, let me know that you're there. So I'm literally hoping that you guys have had a great week and that everyone is following the stay-at-home policies that's been handed out to all the states and everywhere. Let's help to keep each other safe. You got to do your part. So I'm really hoping that you are doing your part with keeping everyone else, including yourself, safe. Okay, so if you're there, just give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're watching live because I have a very great show for you tonight with a very special guest. And let me officially begin my show by saying hello and welcome to Influential Thursday on the Joan Henry Show. I'm your host, of course, Jamaican Joan. And if you're tuning in for the first time, this show is designed to bring you a weekly series of exciting programs that will inform, educate, and inspire you to start or take your business to another level. This show, we speak about topics such as mindset, goal setting, turning your passion into profit, and a host of other business and motivational topics. So let me shout out those who are watching live and in advance, those who will be listening to the watch party or viewing the watch party, I should say. So, again, shout out to everyone, local viewers, all my international viewers, the Bahamas, Canada, London, and of course, Jamaica. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on a weekly basis. So, tonight's featured guest is Mr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. And before I bring Mr. McKenzie on, let me just give you tonight's mindset quote. And it's from Winston Churchill. And he says, attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Again, attitude is that little thing that makes a big difference. So Mr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. is a native of Baltimore and owner of J&F Enterprises, which is a distribution, publishing, and business consulting firm. He is a motivational speaker and a business expert. And hello, Mr. Leroy McKenzie, and welcome to Influential Thursday on the Joan Henry Show. How are you doing today?
I am doing outstanding, Joan. Thank you for having me on your show, kicking off your influential month, Men's Month. I think is what you called it, or something like that.
That's right. The title is Hear Him Roar because all
Yeah.
this month is going to be all guys, locally and internationally, because one of the guys on the flyer, he's actually coming out of Jamaica. He's in Jamaica. So I have local and international speaker for this month. So Mr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., so I just introduced you as the owner and founder of JNF Enterprises. So for my viewers, what does the acronym JNF stands for?
JNF stands for Jesus Never Fails, and I came up with that name for the business after I was doing some thinking and just trying to figure out what I wanted to name the business and what I wanted it to represent or what it would represent. And I started thinking in terms of the Bible, and I started thinking about the mission of Jesus's ministry, and I started to ask what he did. What did he do? He well, of course, he never failed. Every test that he was given in the New Testament that he came upon, he never failed. Jesus, God has never failed us, and I was just like, wow, that's what I want to build it. Name my business, but then build it on. Jesus never fails.
Awesome. That is amazing. So shout out to Mr. Derek Barnes, who is tuning in to the to Influential Thursday. Hey, Mr. Derek Barnes. So Mr. Leroy. So what problem does your business solve? Let's start there.
Wow. Okay. What problem does my business solve? My business solves the problem of, or I'm the answer. I put it this way: I'm the answer for those individuals who are looking to be assisted in their business, or individuals from, or to grow their market, their business market, or to grow their brand. And then also for individuals that may be looking to publish a book or write a book, to be able to assist them with being able to grow their brand, and then also um, give them the ability to be able to take their book um, from manuscript to actually manifestation.
Okay. So what are some of the typical services that you provide as a publisher?
Well, I have three packages that I provide for authors, and that is the initial one is editing. The editing process. If you have an author that says, "Hey, I have a manuscript, I have a book that I want to get edited," that's what I need to have done. I need to get an extra set of eyes on it. I'm going to take care of the rest. I offer that for them. The second package is the marketing and branding, which I just mentioned. Someone that's looking to say, hey, I have a book that's already out there, or I have a book, but I still need to be able to do some marketing, do some branding. I'm looking to brand myself. I'm looking to brand my book, or me and my business. So I will assist them in that. And then the third one is the um, full publishing, which is where we go from concept, where I got this idea, but I'm not sure how to, put it all together and everything, all the way to the manifestation, which is where we have the book printed. We actually have a marketing plan that we put together for them, a branding strategy that we put them together, and have them actually out there doing speaking engagements, doing book signings, all of those things.
Okay, awesome. So for that very aspiring author who just have to get that book out there, while they plan to write this book, what are some of the things that he or she needs to know beforehand?
Well, here's the thing that I want authors to do beforehand, and you need to sit with this. One, you need to do your research to find out, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. You still want to do your research on, if it's a fiction book, you want to delve into those characters. You want to figure out who they are, what they have to say, and I'll give you a second the context of how you do all of those things with all of your books. And then on the nonfiction side, what it is that you have to say and that you want to say, and it's broken down into these four categories. This is what you need to do. You need to understand, or think about what your mission is, what the mission of the book is, what the message of the book is, what the movement of the book is, what movement you may be trying to create or want to create with that particular book, or people to think about. And then the third one is motivation. What's your motivation? And then what's the motivation of the book? Because you want to understand, why are you writing the book? Are you just writing the book just to write the book? Are you writing the book because you want to make some money? Or it's just about money for you? Or are you writing that book because you have a passion for what it is that you're writing about, or a passion for even the characters that you're writing about? So
Hmm.
those are the four major things that you really want to think about before you actually get into writing the book.
Okay, so when writing a book, and I know this because I happen to be a author myself,
Yes.
so there's the option of self-publishing or going through a publisher. So what are the major highlights between the two?
Well, here's the thing. Between, and I call it between, going the traditional route or mainstream publishing, or being an authorpreneur. Being an authorpreneur, and I tell people, you have to decide which one is the best way for you, because there may be some people who the best option for them is to do the mainstream publishing, where you have some other people who may be, the best option for them is to become an entrepreneur. And here's the difference, with those two um, tracks that you take on. You want to think about these three things. You want to think about the resources that mainstream publishing offers. because they have access. Mainstream publishers, if you're going to go with the big, with the big publishers, they're going to, of course, have more resources. They're going to have more resources. They've already established themselves, access to, the certain bookstores that you might want to get in, all of those things, and distribution is going to be one of the big things. The second thing is control. How much control do you want? Mainstream publishers is going to tell you, here's our cookie cutter. You've got to fit into that box. And if you can't fit into that box, we're not really, we're not the ones that you're looking for. You're not the ones that we're looking for. So you definitely have to understand how much control that you want to be able to have. Do you want to be able to have control over the, something as simple as the book cover? Do you want to have control over your vision? Because that's what it is. How much control of your vision do you want to have? Because the mainstream publisher may tell you, oh, you've written a great story, but then when they go to edit it, it comes back and it looks nothing like what you've written. You'd be like, what is this? So they're going to want to cut you. They're going to want to fit your message or your vision into what it is that they want you to say. So you have to look at that and say how much control that you have versus being an entrepreneur. It's your vision, it's your way, and you play you play a big part in being able to bring it to fruition. That it's your baby. It's literally your baby, all of it. So you have complete control over it, from the graphic designs of it, the cover and everything like that, to everything that's said inside. You get to shape your brand. You get to shape who it is and what it is that message says in there. Because if you go back to the 4 things that I said in there, your message, what's your message? And if your message, it doesn't match what the message is of the mainstream publisher, there's going to be some friction there. But when you're the one that is the entrepreneur, you get to shape your message the way that you want to. So you have to think about that.
The entrepreneur, that's the self-publishing, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Because I want this to be very clear, because I know that there are several people who plan to use this downtime with this COVID thing to write a book. So that's why I find it's very important for folks to know and to hear in advance as you try to sit home and write this book. You could always refer back to some of these things that you're discussing. So what are the some of the ways to market your book?
Well, there's several ways, and here's the strategy that I use with my authors that I have. That's number one. You want to establish partnerships, collaborations, and even some sponsorships, just depending on kind of what it is that you want to do. And what I mean by those is you might be able to want to partner with another author that might be doing something that's similar to yours. You all's mission and message are similar, so you can partner with them to be able to gain, even more exposure. You can partner with another. You can partner with a company because what your message that you have resonates with their organization, or even the mission of or the movement of their particular organization. So you can partner with them. That's a great way of marketing it as well. And then you want to take a look at, of course, social media. You have your social media platforms, your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter. To me, like the three big ones. I'm sorry, and then LinkedIn. So those are your 4 big ones. And then you want to attach onto that your website, and also YouTube, which is really, 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 really big. Hear me. That is really a really, really big platform that can be used to leverage getting your message out there, getting your book out there, really marketing your book, because there's multiple ways that you can, your reach is very broad when you're using, when you use that platform along with the other ones. So those are going to be the first way to, to be able to use to market. Second is technology. Take use of technology that's available for you, whether it's with your phone, with using the camera on it that you have, using the technology. Like I said, everything is at your fingertips, literally, with your phone with you. So you want to take advantage of that. The third thing is an events calendar, which is where there are certain events that you may throw yourself or have yourself in order to be able to show people who it is, what you are, book signings with as an author, um, being a part of something that you are throwing. And then you also have a calendar of events, which are events that other people or other organization, other things that may be thrown that you attend because you want to be able to network, you want to be able to gain exposure for you, yourself, and your brand. So those are just a few things that you can do, and you also can add. And I always tell authors this too. You want to think of your book as a platform for um, promoting you out to do other things, to create other streams of income from that particular, from the book that you're writing on. So if it's one having an ebook, if it's creating a curriculum from that particular, from the book that you may have written, or even a series. Some authors that write fiction, they want to create series. So you create series, from the book that you're in. So you always want to think about multiple streams of creating income when it comes to your book. That's a big major thing for me too. So
Okay. And you mentioned technology, and we all know
yes.
that we are in a technology-driven era. And what are the advantages or disadvantages of books versus ebooks?
Well, I tell authors this, that you need to have both of them in your toolkit. You should both have both. You should not just have one or the other. Now, here's the thing about what we're going through right now, the shift that we're going through right now. Of course, the printed books, you aren't able to really sell those unless you sell them through your website, and you actually have the ability to be able to go to the post office. You can go to the post office and mail stuff. But if you don't have books printed, it's going to be kind of difficult because everything is shut down. So you can't go to the printer and say, oh, I need to have some books printed, because that's not going to happen right now. So what do? You use this you still have the other stream to be able to do the ebooks. You still have the ability to be able to create the ebooks or have the ebooks available, i.e. through your website where people can download them, or even on your, through your Facebook, through all of your other platforms that you have, to be able to draw people to your website where they can purchase the ebook. So they both have their pluses and minuses. The minus right now, like I said, is you aren't able to print any books right now. So you actually, have to use, or you're better off using the ebook form now to be able to availability now to be able to send to people, because you can do those through emails and everything. But I would say the other advantage of the the printed books is you get the personal, you get that personal touch with your audience. Because the physical printed books, you're more than likely going to be at a conference, at an expo, a speaking engagement, some place like that, where you have that one-to-one dialogue with people. Now, once everything gets back to normal, you'll be able to do those kind of things with the printed books. So that's the one I think is a big advantage with the printed books. Now, like I said, the advantage with the ebooks, you can actually be global, because you can actually be here in the United States, but you're selling books all over the world. You can sell a book in Australia, you can sell a book in China, anywhere that you're able to reach people through the platforms that you have, you're able to sell it that way. And it's a lot simpler. It's a lot easier. Now, you might be able to sell some printed books, but it's going to cost you a little bit more if you're constantly trying to send them, all over. All over the world, I should say, because that takes a little more time. Whereas if people are able to download them right to their, to their desktop, to their laptop, it makes it a lot easier and simple. So those are just a couple of advantages and disadvantages to having the printed books versus the digital.
Right. And if you're watching and if you are looking to write a book, and if you have a question, you could drop it in the feed. And if you're viewing the replay, if you have a question, you can also still drop it into the feed. I will be checking to see if there are any questions that Ms. Mackenzie can give you any answers to, because again, there's a lot of folks that are planning to use this downtime to write a book. And as you also you need to have all the necessary information. And I personally chose Mr. McKenzie for this particular topic because he was the publisher of my book, so I could only speak to what I
Mhm.
know. So therefore, I think I'm the only person that I know for sure will get your book, up and out. So if you are looking for a publisher, once you get writing that amazing book that you're staying off the street and you're going to be writing that book, then you may want to hit up Mr. McKenzie. So there are many publishers out there, Mr. McKenzie. And what makes you unique? Besides the
Well,
fact that I just endorse you, what makes
I've got the endorsement of Miss Jamaican Joan Henry, so that's all I need right there.
you
But I think what makes me unique from other publishers or even just other businesses, in general, is I have, or what I try to do is take a 21st century approach to um, to giving people access to giving the 21st century approach to giving um, smaller independent individuals access to the mainstream of industries, of mainstream business, or whether it's even an author. We use those 21st century technologies that we have available that you can use to leverage that playing field, to level that playing field, not leverage, that level that playing field, because we're in a day and age now where you don't necessarily need to be in a brick and mortar bookstore, because a lot of bookstores are closing down.
Mhm.
So you need to be able to have an approach of, okay, how can I still reach the audience that I need to be able to reach, without having that means of access. And we show you how to be able to do that. And I'm someone who I try to make sure that my clients are enlightened, empowered, and impacted. And not only are they enlightened, empowered, impacted, but what they do enlightens people, empowers people, and impacts people. And we put that package together so that they're able to do that. I think that's what makes me a little different than everyone else.
Okay, because I know normally you would have a bunch of upcoming events, but with this COVID lockdown, do you have any virtual events in queue? Is there anything being planned right now virtually?
Yes, actually I do. I do on the third Monday of each month. I do it's called the Brand You Development Series, which is where we have a discussion on through the Zoom platform. We talk about branding information. We talk about professional and personal aspects of running your business or running your personal life, and we try to give people knowledge, information, and resources that makes them better after the conversation that we have than they were before the conversation that we have. And I usually have people on that will come on to be able to, that I can have a conversation with, so that we can enlighten folks and pour into people, because that's my big thing. I want people to be poured into, and especially right now. And that I've actually focused on this week and last week. I've really focused on what people need to be doing, whether it's what the church needs to be doing, what leaders need to be doing, what authors need to be doing. I'll tell you a cool story about not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. I was on a video conference call
Mhm.
Sunday evening with a couple of printers, authors, bookstore owners, and just the gamut of us who came together, and publishers. We came together on this conference call talking about what were the things that we could do collectively in order to be able to navigate through this shift that we're going through. What could we do to help the bookstores? What the bookstores do to help the printers or the publishers? What could the publishers do to help the printers? All of us coming together to kind of talk about, to dialogue about what it was that we can do, gathering information and actually virtually networking, so that we could each know each other, have each other's information, and see how it is that we could either collaborate, how we could partner with each other, do those things in order to be able to make all of us successful.
Okay, that is
You know?
awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So, how can one find you, follow you on social media?
Well, they can actually check us out. The website is www.jnfenterprises.com. They can go to our YouTube channel. Please go to the YouTube channel. There's a lot of content that we have on there that's beneficial for people. But you can go to the YouTube channel, which is JNF Enterprises on YouTube. We're on Facebook, JNF Enterprises, or you can go under my name, Leroy McKenzie Jr. On Instagram at JNF Enterprises, on Twitter at JNF Enterprises 1, on LinkedIn under my name, Leroy McKenzie, Leroy McKenzie Jr. And did I forget one? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's it. YouTube. Yeah. I think that's in my email as well. It's JNFenterprises at yahoo.com.
Okay. Okay, great. So if you're just tuning in, we're nearing the end of the broadcast, but we live with Mr. Leroy McKenzie Jr., who is as a publishing company. And so, Mr. McKenzie, if there is that one person watching, whether it's live or going to be watching the replay, and maybe this is someone who wants to write a book, but can't seem to put their best foot forward to make this happen, what would you say to them?
I would start. I would tell them this. I would say start by just writing 15-minute increments once a day. Take 15 minutes out of your day and just start writing. I don't care what you write. I don't care if it's 2 sentences, but take those 15 minutes to start writing. And I promise you, what you will find start happening to you is you will start to in those 15 minutes, if you start to write, you'll find that you have more to write and you want to finish it. So you'll start to write longer, and you'll begin to write a little longer and a little longer, because you want to finish the thought. You don't want to lose the thoughts. So I would say start with those 15-minute increments to get you kind of through that writer's block, or just through that hump that you're doing, trying to get started. That's a good way to get started. It's almost like when you start to run, or when you're trying to train, or you start to run, you start by running, this amount of time first, but then as you start to run a little more and a little more, you find that you're able to go a little longer and a little longer. So if you do that, I think you will begin to get yourself, and next thing you know, the project will be complete. You find yourself, oh wow, I'm finished, or I've gotten this far, and it gives you a little more energy, to go further, and go further, and then you'll find yourself finished.
Wow. And I can surely attest to that. I remember when I was writing my book, I had a book before the book, let's put it this way. So I had a book that I was writing down my thoughts, and then I would just go back and expound on those topics and thoughts. And before you know it, the book was there. So it really is just about taking that time out and writing things down as soon as you get a thought. Drop it in, in a book, type it somewhere, and then you just expound on that. But as long as you make sure that it all makes sense. So
put it in your phone.
Yeah.
Have a notepad and pen right next to your bed, so that if you wake up in the middle of the night and you got a thought about something, write it down, and you can always come back to it later. But it's important to write it down and get that book that's in you out of you onto paper.
Right. And I before I go, I must ask you this. So as a publisher, and all the stuff that you do, what was that motivational factor that made you decide to publish books? What drove you to that?
Well, actually, what drove me was I found that when I written my books and I was speaking and doing book and people, I had people that started asking me about, oh, how did you do this and how did you do that? I have a book that I'm interested in writing. Can you assist me with being able to do it? So I started, that was what I started to do. I started to say, okay, well, since I have gone through gone through and beat my head up against the wall. I didn't want others to have to go through that. So what better way than to show them how they can go about doing it and avoid the pitfalls that I went through on it. So that was one factor. But then the second thing is I wanted to have an impact.
Okay.
And what better way to impact the world than by taking people who have a vision to be able to to pour into other people through their books, and have even greater impact than just with me doing it. Now I have other people who are doing the same thing, impacting the world, and I can say that, hey, I contributed to them being an impact chaser, as I call it.
Okay, awesome. So let me also shout out my sister, Sharon Washington. Hello, Reverend Sharon Washington. Thank you for tuning in tonight. She's a reverend. She's awesome. I got to let you guys meet each other. She's so awesome. She's my sister. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. If you need a good prayer, that's her right there. But I thank you so much. And if you're just tuning in, I'm sorry that you missed everything, but you could always go back to the beginning of the broadcast and watch the watch party, because this was great information, especially for all my amazing folks in my network who are planning to write a book while they're locked down on this COVID-19 thing. Mr. Leroy Mackenzie Jr. is a publisher, and so there's somebody you want to get to know as you go through, writing your book. So thank you again, Mr. Leroy Mackenzie, and you were the first for my series for the month of April, my special series, Hear Him Roar. So we've just heard from you. We just heard your roar.
Let me tell y'all, for your listeners, Joan, you have a power pack month coming up.
Yeah.
Because I did a Reginald was on my podcast, on my brand new development podcast the other day, and he and I were talking about, I was like, man, she got me, you, and Derek, because we, back in 2016, the three of us had and I started the idea of Brothers to Greatness, which was taking men to be able to format in their minds and show them how they can be great. The three of us had books. The three of us were motivational speakers. We're about changing men's lives and a message that we were putting on. I was like, oh, she got all three of us on here. I was like, man, she is about to kill it this month. This month.
Thursday is going to be roaring, all right.
Yeah.
Queen Angel, how are you? Thank you for tuning in to Influential Thursday. And so, yes, it's a Power Pack month. Of course, I kicked off the month with you. Then next week we have Reginald, then followed by Derek, and then followed by Colin Henry. He's the one coming out of Jamaica, West Indies. He's powerful as well. And then Mr. J. Lee Hunter out of Florida. So, yeah, it's going to be a nice packed month of men just roaring.
the power of a man. That's right.
Yes. So, all right. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much again, Leroy, for taking the time out to come on live. And viewers, please share this broadcast with anyone you know is looking to write a book. And also, I'm inviting you to please subscribe to my YouTube channel and just look it up. It's called Influential Thursday. And that's where I'm going to be housing all these amazing broadcasts that is happening here on Facebook Live. So thank you so much for tuning in. And I have been your host, Jamaican Joan. But remember that it takes both rain and sunshine to build a rainbow. So you got to put in the work to make your dream become successful, okay? So join me next week, same time, same platform, for another exciting broadcast. But until then, you take care and make this $1 million day. Jamaican Joan and Leroy Mackenzie Jr.
Write that book.